Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Boycott Everything podcast. My name's LILWOOLEY, and today I am joined by Aegon. How's it going, brother?
It's going. What up, everybody?
All right, so just everyone relax. I know Rev's not here. To quote him, there is water coming out of both ends of him right now. So,
That's about polite as we can get with it.
yeah. Yeah, that's about let's just say he's having a really shitty evening. He's had a really shitty day, but I don't want to get into that. I don't know how much he wants to share about that, but yeah, Rev's sick, so Aegon was kind enough to join me, so that way you don't get me rambling on about some stupid shit for 30 minutes to an hour, whatever, however long this is going to be.
That you just get me rambling on about stupid shit.
Yeah, it would be kind of funny for me to do the show on my own just because, I've always wanted to do a solo man podcast, but I ramble, horribly.
And it's just supposed to be a newscast, so it's, we don't
Yeah.
want to ramble too long.
Yeah, and I want to try to get this episode out as quick as we can, so. Aegon, you got the 3 topics in front of you. Which one do you want to start out with?
Let's just start from the top.
All right. I believe that one was what, the Goldman Sachs one?
Goldman Sachs saying that the economy is nearly recession-proof.
Okay, so I saw this while I was at work. Bill, if you hear this, don't fire me.
And you being a tax guy, this probably is right up your alley.
Oh, yeah, this is right up my alley. Because here's the thing. I browse, MSN, news aggregate site or whatever. And I saw the headline for this. And I was like, okay, one of 2 things happened here. Either someone at Goldman Sachs is about to get fired because you don't say recession-proof on anything in the economy. Or 2, some journalist got me with a really eye-catching title and got me to click.
Yeah, well, most news titles these days are clickbait, so.
Yeah, and this article kind of was somewhat clickbaity, but basically it's talking about Goldman Sachs came in with a very optimistic viewpoint of the economy, saying that there's not likely going to be a downturn for the next several years in the economy. And if there is a recession, it's going to be a nice soft little landing instead of a huge crash like we had about a decade ago.
Yeah, I mean we are if it does hit a recession, we are not going to have the giant financial crisis we had of 2009,
2008, 2009, yeah,
when all the banks crashed and everybody lost their homes. Watching some of the news stories about this, I mean, the biggest thing is we are not in a gigantic boom either, so we're not going to explode when we start going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, it's been kind of just we've been climbing pretty slowly since the crash. Yeah, and it's picked up a little bit here and there, but it's been overall
it hasn't really changed much. I mean, we are steadily raising about between 0 and 2% a year economic growth. It's very steady. It's the longest but the slowest economic growth we've ever had.
Yeah.
And if any economy will recede eventually, it's just a matter of when it happens.
Yeah, the economy is always cyclical. We know that there's probably going to be something coming. There has to be at some point.
Well, I mean, the big thing on the table right now is obviously China.
Yeah, the trade talks are still going on.
How this trade deal goes with China and everybody else that Trump has decided to, kick to the curb and say, you pay us more money,
Yeah,
it comes down to how that turns out, and if we can make a fair deal, a lot of that with China that benefits us both, which in the long run is going to have to be China buying a lot more shit from us, which since we get almost everything from them, I don't know what it's going to be unless they're just going to buy more oil and cars and
agricultural products
from us.
Yeah, that's been the one thing with the trade talks, because I'm from a very small rural town. My brother-in-law is a farmer. does corn and I think soybeans as well. And that's kind of been the big thing with this trade war with China is that ever since we got into this trade war, the tariffs on like corn and all that we ship over to China has just been ridiculous and hurt them more than anything. So
And I mean, this cycle, there's been various, stimuli. The Fed playing around with the interest rates to keep things even. Uh, the you know
yeah,
general things staying steady, but the biggest problem of this current growth is the economic divide. When there's now when 10% owns 80% of the wealth,
right,
and people can't even buy homes anymore because it's just not affordable.
right.
And homes are the biggest thing financially, for a family to grow. It is an investment, but in the long run, it is a financial improvement.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not like we've had some signs that the economy could fall either. I mean, there was the story about the yield curve inversion
Hmm.
that came around, and I think it's kind of corrected itself over time.
I,
Um,
I don't understand any of that. I am not very economic depth and knowledge in the economy and how that works, like the yield curves and all of the economic talk. I understand the bare minimum of most of the stuff they talk about on it, but
yeah, I only know enough about it to understand how bad it could be for the economy just because, that's what I got my degree in.
yeah,
But like at the same time, it's like I still have to remind myself, like, okay, well, what is this? If it does this, then that will go. Okay, we'll do that. And but that's one of those things. Like whenever that happened, then that was
yeah,
like the big talk of like, oh crap, here comes the crash, here comes
yeah.
the recession.
And then the hardest thing is like companies are barely spending, which is why things are staying at a nice steady rate, but it is hurting like me, the average worker.
Yeah,
I have not seen a real raise or salary used in over a decade.
outside of like a cost of living thing,
It,
maybe.
my last job, I didn't even get cost of living increases.
Ugh,
It was bad.
yeah,
I mean, technically, economic wise, uh, scaled to the current inflation, I should easily be making 20 to 25,000 more than I'm making now. It's a standard base pay,
right.
but companies will not shell out that money because nobody wants to spend that much because they all fear spending money, even though the only way you're going to make the economy even better is
Is
to pump more money in it, and nobody has the money to spend except for the 10% that own all the wealth.
yeah, that's kind of one of the weird things. Like the whole like $15 per hour push that's gone through here, like in Illinois, for example. Like,
Yeah, they have it here too.
yeah,
It'll be 15 by 2025, up to 11 right now, I think.
yeah, I think we're either 2025 or 2026. I think is supposed to be when we hit it. But yeah, it's like that's like one of the things. Like I don't like the fact that it's like they legislate to be done that quick, but at the same time, it's like what if it
Yeah,
puts more money into people's hands to go out and spend the money at stores and spend the money, on product and food and
I mean,
whatever,
it's
then
it's not
that's
even it's not even done for that reason. It's that on the current minimum wage, you cannot survive
yeah,
unless you're single and sharing an apartment or a house with somebody. You cannot survive on a single minimum wage job.
yeah,
I know people that are on minimum wage that have three freaking jobs. Another friend who has two jobs and drives for Uber and Lyft all the time. He is almost never home
yeah,
because he's always working to put food on the fucking table and pay the rent.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that obviously that law was supposed to help with, like, and obviously cost like trying to make it to where people can live. is one of them.
Yeah, some people
But
can live even barely without having to just. You're still going to be scratching by at 15, but it won't be as bad as $7 an hour.
yeah, yeah, and I get why they're doing it. I get why it's pushed, and I get why people fight for it. And it will like at the same time it will like try to. I would think it would boost the economy a little bit just because at least at that point people have some breathing room and they might be able to go buy socks or something. You know what
Oh
I
yeah.
mean?
Well, I mean, by 2025, when people are making that $15 an hour, people will have some breathing room because they will bringing in more money. But we still don't know what the effect of minimum wage being $15 is. How many companies are going to start cutting back on workers because now they have to pay their base worker $15 an hour?
And how's the market going to react as far as like price increases on things?
Yeah.
Because now that there's more money available and more money
Yeah.
for people to spend,
That
you
that
know,
that that dollar menu is going to become the $5 menu. So it's like
yeah, it's one of those it's those double edged sword type of things where it's like, okay, if prices stay the same or very similar to where they are now, then the $15 per hour raise would be good.
yeah.
But if the market does what I would think it would do, and you see price increases come along with the increase in minimum wage, I mean, it's going to negate the effects.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the price increases right now that we're seeing are not because of minimum wage, but it's because that the bullshit we're having with the war, the trade wars, with the tariffs.
Yeah,
All these tariffs are raising the price of all common goods coming into this country, and now that raises the price that companies have to sell it for. That's nabbing us in the pocketbook.
yeah, and not to mention just general cost of living. Like everything always increases in
Yeah,
price a few percentage points
I
a
mean,
year.
but Trump's measly tax cut, you know, it gave me a whole extra. I think maybe $50 in my paycheck.
Per paycheck or per
Yeah,
month?
per paycheck.
Per paycheck, yeah. I think for me, it let's see, it was probably about 40 or $50, something like that. But at the same time, that tax audit went into effect. Illinois had increased its state income tax,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yeah.
guess where it went from the Fed to the state. So thanks,
Yep.
Jesus.
I mean, our tax laws are so broken, so inconsistent, so loopholey, and it only benefits the rich.
Well, the rich can hire the people to go and exploit it, so that's the reason why.
Well, yeah,
Like,
but I mean, we
like
don't, we don't,
te-
we don't, we don't,
technically speaking, technically
we don't have
speaking,
the money to exploit almost those loopholes either.
yeah, like yeah, you could say like, and I'm playing devil's advocate here. Technically speaking, we could take advantage of it, but
Yeah,
we don't have the resources to hire the CPAs to exploit those loopholes.
yeah. Well, we don't have, but like things like we don't have like the money to put away in a tax shelter to prevent it from being taxed. You know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to go and put money. Like it's hard enough to like try to for me to put in the money to match in the 403b that I get from my company to get the match.
I don't even have a 401k except for my old 401k, which once I can start my one on my current job, I'll transfer over. But I'm never going to be able to retire because I could never put enough money away in a 401k because I've never made enough to
Right.
pay my bills, take care of my family, be able to not be miserable, and save money. The average American cannot save money.
Yeah, like there's just so much like that, and you live in a pretty big area, city area, right? Like it's
Well, I where I live is it's not that big, but I mean the state I live in is quite crowded because of where it's at. I mean, we're
yeah,
between two major cities, you know, and lots of government. So
yeah. Like I'm pretty sure the cost of living where you're at is probably more expensive than where I live.
I live in the most expensive. Well, actually, I think now the second most expensive county in this state. The first one is a lot closer to, you know, all
Yeah,
the government.
yeah. But yeah, like for me, like I live in like not like the poorest regions, but like it's definitely not the richest area for
Yeah.
sure.
The city I live in is a very rich city. And the county I live in has the number one public schools in the entire U.S. That is how much money we have
Yeah.
here. But I live in probably the cheapest houses you can get, which in the city and we paid like 350,000 for it,
Ooh.
and that's for a 4 bedroom, 3 bath townhouse. That's
Mm.
about a little over 2,000 square feet. And
Yeah.
a single family home here, I could never afford a single family 3 bedroom home, detached. You're easily looking at $500,000 or more here.
Yeah. Like it's there. Needless to say, there are definitely areas in the economy that still need a lot of help.
Yeah. If I wanted to live cheaply, I would have to live in a place where I'm worried about getting shot.
Yeah. And of course, the town I live in, no matter where you live, you gotta be worried about getting shot.
Well, I mean, where you live, there's certain areas that are a lot worse to worry about getting shot than
Yeah, don't go near campus.
yeah. Don't go down south. Don't go to
And to think that the campus I'm talking about is where I went to school and got my degree.
yeah.
So it's like, hey, don't go on the east side of campus. You'll get shot. There was probably cops there daily because of fucking gun shit.
Not surprised. Not
Yeah.
surprised.
Yeah. Whenever you have fraternity brothers come in and go, I just got mugged, or I just had a guy with a gun right in my face rob my ass. That's not a good neighborhood.
No, no, no.
So how the fuck do we veer off? So, oh right,
Not really. It's all still about the economy and what we
yeah,
think of the recession, and then the recession is going to happen eventually. It's
yeah.
but
It always has.
the way we're growing, it won't be as bad as it could be.
Yeah,
There's no explosion at the top to happen because there's no explosion. There's no ballooning to happening.
there's probably bubbles somewhere, and I'm sure there's people looking at those bubbles, but we're at least not talking about the type of bubble that we had where you had these subprime
Yeah.
mortgages and all that
I
stuff.
think any bubbles out there are pretty self-contained right now. I don't
Yeah,
think we don't have economic wide bubbles like the subprime lending from banks and the bad loans and
yeah,
the selling somebody who makes $20,000 $500,000 house.
yeah. Those should be like pretty much, I would hope, non-existent, but maybe like we have a bubble with like the student loan debt.
Yeah,
That maybe that's why I think it's the next bubble is student loan debt.
that's something that the government definitely has to deal with. Student loans are out of control. Luckily, I don't have any. Thank
Yeah,
God.
thank God I don't either.
I avoided that college mess.
I was fortunate enough to where my parents were going to help me out with that, and you know
I could have gone and could have had it paid for by my grandparents, but I really when I was time for me to go to college, I really had no idea what I wanted to do, and I didn't want to waste money in college.
yeah,
I
I
didn't
hear
want to
you.
just spend $20,000 a year figuring out what the fuck I want to do.
Didn't consider like community college or anything like
I,
that.
I did.
So
I technically I'm maybe like 20 credits short of an associate's degree if I wanted to get it,
yeah,
but it's like I feel I don't really need a degree. I'll My field is all certifications and experience.
yeah. I have a funny
That's the nice thing about IT. It's
yeah.
all certifications and experience.
See, like the thing, like I kind of worry about with like the student loan like bubble is a lot of it. That bubble is people going to like out of state schools or really high end private
Mm-hmm.
schools that you're going there, you're paying anywhere between 35 to 50,000 a year depending on the situation, and you're going there for degrees that really aren't worth a shit.
Yeah,
So
it's like, why did you just spend $125,000 for a liberal arts degree?
yeah,
Congratulations for wasting your money.
yeah. Okay, you're going to a $50,000 a year school to get your teaching degree. The public school that's like 20 grand a year would have given you one that was just as good, if not better. Like it like stuff like that. If like I could see if you were like going to be if your projection was like you're going to make $250,000 a year like within 5 years of after school, then you go and spend the money on your Harvards and your Yales and your Ivy League.
Oh yeah.
But come on, if you wanted a teaching degree or fine arts,
You're looking at, like, the average student in college, in a local college, public university, is looking at an average of like $100,000 in student debt.
yeah,
Someone going to a private college, you're looking at probably almost close to double that.
yeah. And each situation, like I went to private school, but the private school I went to, I got financial aid and like scholarships and grants from the school, and I didn't need I was not like economically needing that
Yeah.
because my parents they have good jobs, they have a really good situation,
Yeah.
and
When I first started thinking about college, I applied for all of that, and I got denied everything because
yeah,
I am white. I'm a white male with parents that made decent money. I got
yeah,
denied everything.
yeah. But I went to a private school, but they gave me so much money in scholarships and grants. It was cheaper for me to go there than it was some of the public schools that I was looking at. So
Yeah.
it was one of those things where I just decided, you know what? I have a family history at this school with like aunts and uncles that went there. I'm getting to play, be a student athlete there. And it's a small campus, so it's like, hey, there's going to be a better professor to student ratio.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten way off topic at this point,
Yep.
but
Yeah.
technically the economy, it's not recession proof. No such thing as a recession proof economy. It will happen eventually,
Yep.
but because of our slow and steady growth, it would be a slow and steady decline, which will probably recover before it really hurts too many people.
Yeah. Why are these guys going off tangents? Welcome to the Boycott Everything
Yes.
podcast.
Well, welcome to a podcast here.
Yep. All right. Do we want to go on to the next one?
Yep. Next one.
The FDA banning some vaping products, including fruit and mint flavors.
With an asterisk at the end of that, because
Big
they are
asterisks.
only banning the pre-filled cartridge stuff like Juul.
Yeah, all the stuff that's like you could basically get at a convenience store,
Yep.
a gas station. That's what they're banning. And it didn't really seem that way whenever I first clicked the article and read it, but basically if it's anything pre-filled, it's pretty much down to now it's like tobacco and
Well, basically the standard fill ones will still come in flavors, because you can't actually buy those in a store unless you're 18.
Yeah, it's pretty much like if you it has to be the ones with the coils and the ones
but it doesn't really stop the kids, because kids can still get the actual, I don't know what they're called because I don't vape. So
yeah, I don't either.
Vape machines, you can get a
Vape pens,
a vaporizer, vape pens. Anyone can get one for you, and you can order ones online and not be 18, and then you could easily order juice online without worrying about age. And it's like,
yeah,
you stopped absolutely nothing. They just can't go buy Juuls at 7-Eleven anymore.
I think the big thing from reading the article is they were trying to stop the ones that were easily concealable and easily hideable. You know what I mean?
But even those those vape pens, some of them are still pretty hideable.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like it would stop anything, but I mean, they were kind of this sort of I don't know what you want to call it. They were doing this sort of limbo of we want to stop the kids from smoking this, but you also have adults who are using these responsibly and using it as an alternative for smoking.
And the problem isn't the pre-fill cartridges, the problem is what's in them. There, so many of these kids are getting sick because they're smoking like off-brand cartridges that are just terrible, or they're mixed with marijuana and
Yeah, or like
strange oils and shit, which are terrible to get in your lungs.
yeah, like the thing that started this off was like they were bringing in knockoffs from China that were
Yeah.
um, THC infused, right? So it's
Well, all the people that have gotten sick have smoked marijuana, THC infused uh,
knockoff
cartridges.
products
Yeah.
basically. So it was really, is it more of just a, hey, these are, these would not be high quality products that they're using that's getting them sick, or is it just the product itself, even at the highest quality, is getting them sick?
Yeah. I mean, they have not, unfortunately, vaping has not been around long enough to have the giant study like we have with smoking, see how many people, are going to get lung cancer and die, from smoking, from vaping yet. So
Yeah.
we already shown that there is bad effects from vaping. Um, just like, shitty cigarettes, shitty vapes.
Yeah. Like, really, though, it's like if you think about it, it's like if you put anything in your body, like it's going to have an effect one
Mm-hmm.
way or another. Like,
I mean, especially you put chemicals in your body's going to react to it in some way.
yeah.
Liquid is not meant to be in your lungs. And the problem with a lot of these cheap vapes in general, is some of these use really cheap oil that doesn't completely vaporize, and it re-liquefies in people's lungs, and that's what's getting them sick.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, I understand, like, I know people who went from smoking cigarettes to vaping as a
Yeah.
way to help them quit and like or like reduce like the amount of crap that they were taking in
Well, yeah,
the
there's so many
tar.
more chemicals in a cigarette than
Yeah,
I'm glad it is a device that has helped people to quit, the ones that are actually doing it to quit, and not just as
right.
something different to smoke. Uh, because yes, I have seen it help people quit smoking, and that should not be taken away. And you know,
Yeah,
just trying to find.
if used responsibly, it could be a good thing.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, just like with any other like product we have, like whether it be alcohol or whatever, it tends not to be used responsibly by all people, and the kids get it and they're like, "Ooh, yeah, I'm doing things I shouldn't do until I'm an adult." Let's
yeah. I mean, and a lot of that also falls on parents. Parents do not take responsibility for their kids like they used to anymore.
oh my God, you're vaping. We need to get the government involved.
Well, yeah, because parents aren't getting involved.
Yeah,
And
seriously.
look. I mean, when I was in school, kids were smoking constantly, and parents would kick their fucking ass if they get caught.
Oh yeah,
Now, now it's like, don't do it.
I mean, isn't that kind of the reason why there's like a song that's called "Smoking in the Boys' Room"?
Yeah,
I mean, there, you had kids smoking either cigarettes or weed or whatever in the bathrooms of the schools or whatever.
well, yeah, because it was the only place that didn't have fire
Yeah,
alarms.
or sneaking, alcohol in the bathrooms and or wherever they would, hide it, whether it being
Yeah.
like water bottles or soda or whatever.
But either way, it's a mostly meaningless ban, because
Yeah,
the
it
true problem isn't
it
the ones that are made by the good big companies. It's the ones that are coming from third parties that can't be stopped by this law.
yeah, and there's still a source for if someone wants
Yeah,
flavored vape, there's still a source for them to get it
yeah,
legally.
yeah. And they can always go for the full vapes if kids have a ways of getting their hands on shit.
Yeah,
I know from much experience.
yeah. So I mean, maybe it stops like the USB looking stuff, but it's just they're just going to convert to the pens and whatnot
Yeah,
that are obviously look like vape pens.
yeah.
So
And it'll probably be another 10, 20 years before we see the real effects of what vaping has on people.
yeah, so who knows what happens? I mean,
Yeah.
but
But it's
it's like we'll never know like the full results of like smoking weed either until we get to legalize it and look at it for 5, 10, 20 years
Well,
down the
I mean,
road.
we've had people that have smoked weed forever. I mean, it's shown that
Well,
it
okay,
had.
let me rephrase that. We'll get more reliable studies and
Well, yeah,
research from it.
but overall, the length that weed has been around, when it's good weed and not like the laced street shit,
Right.
it's been shown that it's been good for people. It has more medicinal uses for it than
Mm-hmm.
just getting high.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's. But yeah.
And the more and more states are adapting it, and if in the next 10 years we end up with a decent majority of Democrats in the Congress, they'll probably start pushing for national
Yeah.
legalization.
I think the younger Republicans though too are kind of like, you know what? This weed thing, it's kind of
Yeah.
stupid. Let's just legalize it.
Until the old generation of Republicans are gone,
Yeah.
I mean, the people that basically kiss Trump's ass
Mm-hmm.
and who currently hold Trump as the representation of the Republican Party.
Yeah. I mean, it. I do feel like within the next decade or so we will have legal weed on the federal level.
I would not be surprised.
I mean, Canada's already beat us to it.
A lot of countries have already beaten us to it.
Now, I thought Canada was like technically the first like fully legal weed
Well, yeah,
country.
they're the first that have nationwide legalized it. But other countries are pretty much like, we don't
They
give a
technically
shit.
have rules on the books,
Yes.
but they don't enforce it, like
Yeah.
Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah, so. But yeah, I think we're done with that topic. I think
Yeah. Yeah.
that there was not much to go by on that. It's just like,
No.
hey, you banned a thing, you didn't ban it hard enough, probably. Good job.
Well, it's more that you've banned a thing like you do with everything else, like the war on drugs that hasn't worked. It's like, good for you.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to go on to this third topic
Yeah, let's
because
go on to our third and last topic for the day.
this is probably a topic that I feel like me and Rev probably could have gone at it for a while.
Probably.
So there is a story out that a black patron, a African American woman, let's see, her name's in here somewhere. Felicia Gonzalez claims that the front desk clerk at the Residence Inn by Marriott, Portland Downtown Convention Center, told her that all guests had to sign a no party policy. But Gonzalez claims that as she watched white guests check in after her, they weren't required to sign the policy. And this according to a lawsuit where she is suing, I believe, for $300,000 with the option of going up to $1 million.
Yeah, that honestly would not surprise me the least bit.
Yeah.
I think Portland is like the whitest city in America. So when I've been there, I swore that I was like, is there anybody not white here?
Oh man. So like here's the reason I thought it was gonna be something that me and Rev were gonna like bash heads on. Like I read this and there was some red flags that came up for me as far as like, okay, is this like a legit thing, like a legit complaint? Because here's the thing, like I've been to some hotels in my day. I say that like I'm old as shit, but I'm not. but I've been to enough hotels and been to gone on enough vacations to know that this no party policy is kind of a standard thing across hotels. It's basically hey, don't be a loud, obnoxious piece of shit.
Well, the difference is I think that they made her sign a separate paper that said no partying. I've been to a ton of hotels because I go to conventions all the time.
Yeah.
I never once had to sign a separate paper saying I will not party.
Yeah,
it might be part of my room agreement, but I've never specifically had to sign a paper that says no party policy.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can think of is like, unless like this was something like that they recently had to do, like to buff up a policy that, maybe they had something happen at that particular location, and it's like, hey, we just bumped this up. We haven't gotten all the new um, forms done with this additional policy. We have this separate thing. Blah blah blah. That like the whole idea of like a 2-page no party policy being a thing is kind of weird.
Yeah, like I said, there's not a lot of details on the story, so we don't have a lot to really go on. But
Yeah, I was trying to look for more articles on this, and I wish I had saved the links for them. But there, like, I was looking at this, I was looking into this story, and it's like, okay, the no party policy is something that isn't necessarily out of the ordinary. It's kind of a standard thing.
I
That,
mean, it's
that
usually
maybe that,
part of your standard hotel agreement when you check
yeah,
in. It's not a special piece of paper though. It's usually just like in the rules of the hotel. It's like
yeah. But like aside from that, it's like exactly how does she know like what the guests that were also coming besides her that were coming in, what they had to sign? Because you know having to check in, like most places, unless you are just up in their business, like you don't know what's going on in there. Like
yeah.
it's kind of hard to spot it.
And Leslie's literally standing at the counter while these people were filling out. Who knows? I mean, she
Unless
managed
she's
it. She
unless this is
managed
like a
it.
bar like type scenario where she's at one end of the bar and the fucking registration at the other end of the bar, and she's like, "Hey, you made him sign that no party policy yet?" You know what I mean?
But I mean, uh, who these people may have already had like all their stuff ready to go, and they were just checking in. Who knows? Maybe they'd already. Uh,
Yeah,
there could be a million things of why they didn't sign anything, but
yeah. I just don't know how this lawsuit is going to do anything. Like maybe Marriott like will just put in a settlement to
it,
like, hey, just shut up type of
it'll
thing.
it'll get investigated, and she might get a tenth of what she sued for, if you know if anything. But you
Yeah,
know unless there's any kind of cooperation that happens, I don't see anything coming from it.
yeah. And by the way, for the listeners at home, the suit is seeking $300,000 for embarrassment, frustration, humiliation, and quote feelings of racial stigmatization. Like,
That's not all. I mean, it could also be amended to $1 million for punitive damages.
yeah, but I want to know like what the punitive damages are because you have to prove that you were damaged economically for those.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, you signing a piece of paper did not lose you $1 million.
No, it did not. Unless they decided to use that party policy to like kick you out of the hotel, and then you were like, maybe you lost like I don't know, they make you put down a deposit or whatnot for the hotel rooms or something, right?
But
But even then,
but like I said, I can't really be sure what exactly happened because, like I said, Portland is probably the whitest city I've ever been to, and
yeah. Like if
eh,
this is something where she got targeted because she was black and that they forced her to do that, like they had her do this and to nobody else, like that's shitty. Like get your money, girlfriend, get your money. But if it's like one of those things where it's like I don't know, where it's like everyone else does sign it and this is just like a huge like overreaction to something that meant absolutely nothing. Like I think I saw in like another article, she's a like Marriott Rewards
yeah.
like member,
I
and
mean,
it's
all it really comes down to is like the hotel have to go look at this stack of papers that are signed by other people.
yeah. Here's the ones from the day before. Here's the ones from the day of, the day after.
Now, if they can't produce that, or they only have one or two here and there, and they all happen to be non-white, patrons,
Oh, I'll
then they
bet you.
have an issue.
I'll bet you anything that those hotels have those policies scanned and signed to all profiles of all their guests that come in. I will guarantee you they'd be able to find her stuff easily and find everyone that came in that day and the week and
Oh, I'm
before and
sure.
after. I
Oh, I'm
guarantee
sure.
it.
Well, we probably won't really even hear the outcome of that story unless it turns into something big. So
Yeah, like this is one of those like things like you hear about it, you get angry about it, and you'll never hear about it again. Like I hope I hear about it. Like I want to hear the results of this. Like just because if it ends up being a stupid lawsuit, I always love hearing the backfire from it. But the little bit of Schadenfreude.
yep. But we will or we will not hear anything about it. But there really ain't much more to talk about that story.
Yeah, I just I saw that. I was like, I bet I could get. If Rev wasn't sick, we probably could have got this to be like a huge like back and forth for like another like 10 minutes.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean,
But that's pretty much the news. The pieces we picked out for the day. I mean, there was a lot of other news today, but it's mostly a lot of continuing stories from other days. Uh, Nothing
yeah.
really else big dropped.
Yeah, I don't know. Trump said anything stupid today?
Doesn't he say something stupid every day?
Well, anything that would be worthy of news.
Probably not.
Yeah,
And then nothing's been reported on, so it's nothing to write home about. So
yeah. All right. Well,
all right.
unless you could think of anything, Aegon.
No, I think that's it. I think we are good for the news of the day.
Yeah. So, guys, make sure to go down in the video description below to check out all the social medias while you're down there. Comment, like, subscribe. You guys know the deal. Hopefully, with the next episode, unless YouTube just really screws us over again, we'll be able to do these live on the YouTube channel.
And hopefully we'll put the links to the stories down in the description as well, so you
Yeah,
can
I'll
check them out.
have to remember to do that. So, but yeah, guys and gals, thanks for stopping by, Aegon. Thank you once again for filling in for our sick brother.
Thanks for having me.
Yep, no problem. And guys, make sure to do all the things like we said. But we will catch you next time. Later, peoples.
Later.